So some people I don't know, and some people I do. Hello, Rachel. Long time. Nice to see you. And I always start or base these free classes on the assumption that there are people here who don't know much about Qigong or Taoism. And I always apologize for returning or regular students for repeating some things. But if you're like me, being reminded is kind of helpful. So, 1, 2, 3, like beginning of this year, I switched the cadence of my series to be 4 times a year, longer, and aligned with the seasons. It allows me to go even deeper than the 7 weeks, but it also makes a lot of sense because even if you're a urbanite like me, we are so governed and influenced by the weather and the energy of each season. And in Tao, that energy is very different. And if we just kind of push through our life thinking we're independent, we're not taking advantage of what's supported by each season. And we're not taking care of ourselves by the challenges of each season. So there are 5 elements, and I won't go into that because I just did 12 weeks on it, right? That's a huge subject. However, referencing it, there are 5 elements and 4 seasons. The one that is not a season unto itself is earth. So we have springtime is wood with this burgeoning, reawakening, phenomenally fast growing, and the beginning of things. We have summer, which is it's called the full flower, and it is we'd say the early adulthood, and it's often associated with childbearing and beginning your adult life. And then we have the autumn, which is when we are fully adult and mature. And they talk about being royalty sitting on your throne. And basically, you've gained knowledge and experience, and you're enjoying manifesting it, growing it, using it. And then there's winter. Winter is the end of a life. It is also when nature appears to end, but really it's turning inward. And if we can use the beautiful metaphor of trees in autumn releasing their leaves, full color, and then releasing their leaves to change their being to be more economical and inward turned, better to withstand the harsh weather of winter, but also to withstand the lack of nourishment and resources. So, winter presents, I think, probably the clearest challenge and opportunity of these elemental seasons. If we don't conserve, so ideally, we've spent spring, summer, fall gathering chi, making ourselves stronger, making ourselves more resilient. Then we move into winter, into this conservation or way of conserving things and rest. However, when I teach a winter practice, I don't assume that you've had the time and wherewithal to do that. So we also have chi gathering practices in the winter practice, but we focus also on how am I leaking? Where am I leaking? Is my Wei Qi field too porous or tattered, and building that up? So we're not losing anything that we don't have to. And we're not so porous that like winter weather can come in to our chi field in our body. And the Wei Qi field is also the energetic form of our immune system. And we know that we tend to get more colds and other sicknesses in the winter time. It's connected. So that's kind of the challenge, I guess. And the element is water. So your water is also challenged. If you think about in a winter's day, or winter's week, maybe, water will go from solid ice to mist to actual water to fog, snow. Those are physical forms, and that's a lot of work for an element. It's not like it's not like wood, which is also big changes, but it's growth. So there's step by step expansion. So that's one of the reasons why we're so focused on conservation, because those challenges in our elemental water. But there are also benefits to winter. This turning inward. This is the time when, I don't want to say ancient, but older Taoists, this is when they pursued their inner alchemy, because the fields were fallow. They didn't have the reaping and sowing and the work of their agriculture or their market. So they could spend time indoors with colleagues, family, and do the deeper meditations. And the water element is more receptive to that. So, hearing some background noise, just let me check it. Okay. There's more. I mean, the elemental movement through time is huge, but I don't want to turn this into a teaching lecture thing. That's more concerned with context and just a little starting of the wheels turning and a little bit of an introduction. So we're going to first kind of do a little arrival, seated, and we'll stand up and do a Qigong set. Always, when I teach a series, there's a core practice, and the core practice is from Universal Healing Tao, Mantak Chia's system. And in the winter, the ideal core practice is the circulation of qi, of energy. So it's microcosmic orbit, but as the 12 weeks go on, we will do variations. We will do the belt channels and extending our circulation, focusing also on grounding, which is a form of qi circulation, connecting it to the earth. Excuse me, but we start with just a little collection, and it changes week to week, so we can warm up or loosen up our joints and begin also loosening up our qi system. And the traditional Qigong set we'll learn is called Mystical Warrior Qigong from Mount Amier, Shamanic Qigong. These Qigong sets that I share take more than one class to learn, but you can definitely always follow along and enjoy right from the beginning. Mystical Warrior is one name. So each of those four directions has a celestial protective animal image that goes along with it. And Winter's is the turtle working together with a snake. So the turtle shell is our shield, and the snake is our, forget the word, but the one who watches out for coming danger, sentry, you could call it. And so you'll see in Chinese art and literature, the turtle, sometimes you'll just see the turtle alone. And that is also a water reference, but the full mystical warrior is, the snake will be wrapping around the turtle's body and he will be upright. The animal for spring is a green dragon. Summer is a red pheasant. Autumn is the white tiger. And then if in certain alchemical practices, we will call on earth, and in that case, it's a yellow phoenix, but not so much used in, let's call it the foundation alchemy. Are there any questions so far? Okay. We're also going to do some dream practice over the 12 weeks, Tao dream practice, and supplemented by a couple of shamanic practices. And just a word about that is that general view associates lucid dreaming with Taoism. Lucid dreaming is when you are dreaming and you wake up or you recognize that you're in a dream. And then you can navigate that dream or experience it with that awareness. The reason that's cultivated, I think it's also cultivated in Tibetan dream practices. And the reason is similar, that you should be practicing 24 hours a day for your whole life. Because at the end of your life, you want to die well. What that means in each tradition is a little different. In contemporary times, it's almost become a form of play or a toy. And sorry, I'm having to mute people as they come in. I would discourage that. The foundation that I bring to teaching dream practice is that an image to help us understand is we have this waking self. We also have a dream self or a dreaming self. And a process or an approach to dream practice is to befriend that part of yourself and to build a relationship, even a bridge to your dreaming self. And you don't do that by marching in and sitting down and saying, okay, I want to be lucid and this is the project. That's not very friendly. And you may find, if you pursue this gentle version of dream cultivation, that the lucidity comes on its own. Most of us are not Taoist adepts or monks trying to train for that 24-hour a day practice that will lead us to a good death. We want to be a little gentler and holistic and embracing of our life. At least I do. So what we're going to do is stand up. Well, first we'll arrive and then we'll stand up, do some movement, Qigong, introduce the mystical warrior. We'll sit back down and then we'll do a little bit of qi circulation. And don't worry if you've never done that before. It might happen that you're not getting a real feeling or connection to qi circulation. I ask you to take the steps through that anyway. And on some level, you're introducing that practice to your body. And if you come back to it, your body will recognize, oh, okay, this is familiar. And that's the first step of a cultivation. And qi circulation is cultivation. Most Tao practices, you would say, are cultivations. And that implies growing a little bit at a time, deeper, a little bit at a time, and patience, I think. Any questions so far? Okay. So I would like to do this sitting down because I want you not to have to worry about your standing structure. Know that what we're going to set up, this connection and protection, can travel with you. It's not like you're going to be protected here and now you're walking over there. No. You're protecting your field. So sit well. And for people who haven't heard that phrase before, what I mean is sit on your sits bones. Don't sit on your tailbone. Don't sit too far forward. And just try to bring your shoulders over your hips. It's not a meticulous or demanding structure. It should be natural. And just take a breath into your belly, gentle, just to get a little anchoring into your center. And then with your next inhale, gather up all of the thoughts and actions and intentions you use to arrive here right now. Inhale and gather. Exhale them down out your feet and into the earth. We were all successful. We don't need them anymore. Inhale and gather. Exhale back to the earth. With your next inhale, gather up all of your plans and anticipations, anything that will tug you away from the present. Inhale and gather. Exhale them off to the side. Again, inhale and gather. They'll still be there when we're done. Exhale off to the side. Just take a moment and be in your hopefully more spacious inner landscape. Stay in your belly and your inner self, your inner landscape. But now expand your visualization. See yourself sitting in the middle of a space. Abundant space, but nothing so large that you lose touch with the edges of it. And don't be confined by walls or ceilings. Turn your attention to your left. Going to create a circle around us of our ancestors and descendants and others. Invite to come into your circle on the left side, all of your ancestors. So this can be older friends, older siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and keep stepping back in time. Great grandparents, great grandparents. This is from Juan Lee, and he always says, go all the way back to the monkeys in the trees and give them a moment to gather. Lovely. Trust that they will stay. They will stay to support our practices and also benefit and enjoy them. Turn your attention to your right side. Invite to the right side of your circle your descendants. This can be younger siblings, can be children you know that you mentor, can be also your children, can be your possible future descendants as well. Don't be strict about the definition. Be open and gather descendants to the right side of your circle. And now behind you are your teachers. Also, don't be strict about that definition. It's your third grade teacher, it's all of your adult teachers, but it's also the writers and musicians and playwrights and actors who have inspired you in some way or taught you about life on some level. And allow them to gather behind you. And lastly, Juan Lee calls this our karmic team to gather in front of you to complete the circle. So, this karmic team are the people who are in your life or float through it, who offer, intentionally or not, offer you the choice to be your higher self. Don't always make that, but they offer the opportunity. So, these can be also teachers there, they can be friends. They can also be people who annoy you. They can also be people who hurt you, break your heart. They offer us that moment, that free will of what we're going to do with that challenge or support. And now, because winter time is about conservation, protection, we think of winter as protecting us from the elements, the rain, snow, and winds, but it's also an opportunity to cultivate our ability to set up boundaries and protection. So, around this wonderful, rich, loving circle of support, draw a line, draw a circle. Now, it needn't be right at the backs of these supporters, it can be wider, but it has to be connected to your ancestor and descendant circle. In some contemporary energetics, we draw a red circle, but it can also be any color or any visual, like it could be a little scratch in the sand too. And here we have an opportunity to use intention as a form of protection. And we have the intention. You're on mute, you can say it out loud. Nothing that is not well and well meaning may enter my circle. Nothing that I do not invite may enter. Just stay in these layers of circles. Enjoy them. Allow your chi body, mental, emotional body, your spirit body to imprint. Good. So one thing is, especially with the Qigong, where I'll be away from the keyboard over there, if you have any questions about the Qigong and when we sit down, anything, just unmute yourself and ask. Because if you put up the hand, I won't see it. And I'm fine with being interrupted. But let's go ahead and stand up. So we are still protected. You can expand your circle or bring it in as feels right. When we move, you might want to expand it to give yourself a sense of spaciousness. And as we sat well, we would need to stand well. So we begin with our feet parallel. Unlock your knees, which softens your ankles and your hips. Engage your abdomen. Arms are heavy, relaxed. We want to roll our heads slightly forward. So our crown center, which is not where our hair swirls, it's straight up from our ears and straight up from third eye. So that can connect to the yang energies of heaven.
Miranda, I have a question. When you say feet parallel, how close together or not close together are your feet?
Under the hips is good.
Okay,
If
good.
you're wider than the hips, which we sometimes do in certain movements, then you give up that parallel because we're not doing kung fu. And then the toes should be under the knees. It's a good point, though. Check your knees also. And if your feet are parallel, but your knees are a little collapsed, it's a good girl. You want to use muscle to push those knees over your feet. And eventually, the muscles will strengthen and you won't have to think about it, but it may feel like effort in the beginning, but it's an important effort. So just checking your vertical structure. After those modifications, my heart is usually a little forward. So let's inhale into your heart. As you exhale, let it nestle into the center of your body. Inhale and let it nestle. So we'll do a couple from this circulation set from Wudang to move from gently to a little larger. So we start simply by bringing our weight over the front of our feet and over our heels. Knees are unlocked. So one of the very important things we can do for our energy and our energy body is pump. And this is pumping our chi. I mean, sometimes we're doing this and the pump is bigger, but it needn't be bigger. Often the subtle and the quiet is more effective on the energetic level. But the body is relaxed enough that you're not keeping a rigid structure and just moving back and forth. I already feel my shoulders moving, my chest opening and closing, but the main movement is that foot movement. There's a reference about this Qigong that we have three hearts. We have our physical heart, but then we also have a heart at each calf. So this, to move, I'm flexing and relaxing my calf muscles, and that's pumping. It's also pumping lymph, fluids, and blood, which is good too. But so all three of our hearts are helping, and the calf hearts allow the physical heart to work less. But we want to kind of bring in other aspects, other parts of our body. So this would be considered the smallest. You'll go small, medium, and big in Wudang a lot. So we just open our thumbs and come back. And on the front, weight on the front. And you can also do it on the back. There's no set instruction on this, whichever feels better. That means your body's saying, I like this better today. So the pumping then is included in the shoulders. You can bring your chin down, bring it up, bringing that pumping to your neck, your spinal and spinal fluids. Then we go bigger, using the arms If you want to try and go further in your rocking, you can, but of course, heels don't come off the floor because you might go forward. And then not so much bigger as, I guess there's more velocity here. We're swinging. And then we try to never be abrupt. So we go from the faster version back to the big version, back to the medium version, and then back to just rocking until rocking gets smaller and we're standing again. Let's do one more. So this was more frontal, front and back. And we have one side and the other. Loose. Yeah, can see me good. First, just pay attention that your arm and leg are moving, but then start twisting. Oop, oop. This one, not so much little, big, and bigger. But then, let me see if we go behind as well. So hand behind, foot behind. These are very easy. They're meant to prepare, warm up, loosen up. You can do them first thing in the morning. This would not be something I would connect with cultivation. You should be able to do this unless you have an open injury. And you shouldn't try to do it better and better. You should just listen to your body and enjoy the simple, straightforward movement. Come back to center. So then I scan my body. My main joints feel pretty warm and open, but my spine is sleeping. So let's do opening the spine. This is from my medical Qigong. So depends on how you feel. You want to be stable. Okay. You might need to widen your stance a little bit. If your feet are under your hips, they're parallel, but that's not such a big deal with this. More important or more of a focus is visualizing. The instruction was visualizing a wall right in front of you. And I'm very literal about my metaphors. So it's like, well, I'm going to hit my head on that wall. So I put the wall right on my feet. And it's only as high as my knees. It's to help us physically remember to keep our spine round as we go down. So there's a slow motion dive. You're not trying to get anywhere. You're just rounding your spine and hanging over. And you stay here for a couple of minutes or a minute or so. And pay attention to your spine. You don't want to force, demand, but often the parts that aren't participating will participate if we're patient. And then to come up, visualize having a long monkey's tail.
And it's hitting the floor maybe 4 feet behind me because I'm bent over. Now just don't get up, but draw that tail closer and closer to the back of your heels. And use that to shift your pelvis. And when your tail is near the back of your heels, then you can start stacking your vertebrae. Once you're upright, circle your thumbs outward, elbows outward, and open your chest and shoulders. Take a nice deep breath and slowly, evenly exhale through your nose. Do that again. And bring your thumbs, elbows, and shoulders back in. Good. Okay. Those of you who are regular students, this is how you should practice. You should say, oh, I feel like this. Check your body. Let your body tell you what's necessary to do next or what you don't need to do. This is a kind of the long-term goal. This is the cultivation of these Qigong that aren't necessarily skill oriented. So what I would like to do with further preparation or further self-care of the energy, reminding that we must purge. If we don't get rid of stale, stagnant, old energy, there is no room in our chi body to take in fresh chi. So any set you do on a regular basis, look to see, is there something in here that will allow me to purge? Now, it's a range. You can purge sitting very still, very gently, and just focusing a little more on your exhale. But often we need something a little more yang, a little more physical. My go-to, my favorite, is from Iron Shirt, and it's Phoenix Cleans Its Feathers. And just moving through it for new people, we need to ground. So nice wide stance and sink. When we sink, our perineum and our tailbone will more directly point to the earth. And we can, if you have a tendency not to be grounded, you can do more steps, but we're just going to do this one time through, and we will do other things. So I'm not worried about you getting too lightheaded or anything like that. But the main thing is sink your physical body. Palms very sensitive and open. Those should be below your navel. So we don't want straight and locked, but as low as you can. Those who are more experienced, connect your palms to the earth also. So little more information for more experienced people is you are grounded through the soles of your feet, through kidney point 1, Lao Gong, the palms, and through your tailbone, intelligently through your perineum. So you don't want to blast open your perineum, but all of those points can connect you to the earth. And we're going to do a Kapalabhati. What we want is to fuel our dantian, our belly, to clean ourselves. So it's exhale, relax, air comes in. We don't want to do like some pranayama because we're standing and that modifies the blood oxygen. So it's, and I'm going through my mouth so you hear it, but you actually use your nose. So it's through the nose. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So fill your lungs, right? Yes. And then I'll do this when this breath pattern, we want to stop it. It's usually about 10 or 12 times.
Stay empty. Now, 1/3 inhale, vigorous, and pull up this flotsam and jetsam from your chi body. Gather it up, and then release it out back to the earth. We'll use the lung sound, S. Now clean up horizontally. Sending back to the earth with the kidney sound, Cho. Cho. Now visualize up your spine, out your tongue. All your small tendons are engaged. Step and brush. So this is a little thing to do when we're using hot chi or doing a breath pattern. We want the chi to come back down. We're going to do it 2 more times. So we do all 6 sounds. Liver sound, SH. Shh. Heart sound, ha. Last time. Spleen sound, tiger growl. And he, triple warmer. And step and brush. Excuse me. So since we've purged, we have this protective circle, but we also need to cultivate the word from, is it algebra, integument, so that we're not leaking chi. We leak chi through behaviors, like all the screen time we do these days leaks wood element chi through our eyes. We have a preference for very loud music, or we have to strain to hear whispers. It leaks kidney chi and so on. But in Tao, we don't try to be perfect, but we do try to repair the strains that life puts on our system. So you would be very aware, oh, I spent all day on the computer or watching films. I need to really take care of my eyes before I fall asleep, that sort of thing. But one of the main ways that people who don't practice Qigong lose Qi is through the perineum. Now, we want to be porous in the perineum, especially women. You birth energetically through the perineum, so it must be able to open, but we want it to close when we're not taking, doing energetic practices or in some other way, wanting the perineum to be open. It's like we want it to be like a new rubber band. We can open it, but then it comes closed when it relaxes, when we're not thinking about it. Luckily, the practice to cultivate a snappy perineum is very simple. More is not better. It's 3 sets of 5 breaths. So you can stand however you want, but mentally it helps to have your feet a little far apart, sort of giving your perineum space. And let's just do it. So smile and connect with your perineum. And I realize that might be super counterintuitive. Just give it a go. I'm putting my hands on my dantian, but you can do whatever you want. It's a very flexible practice. So making that connection, then inhale and open your perineum. Exhale, and the instruction is to squeeze, but it's squeezing like a jellyfish. Complete, deep, but very gentle. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze. 3 more times. Stay connected with, attuned to your perineum. Allow your breath to return to natural cadence. And the second set, so the first set, I just told you to do it. That usually means you're using your mind, which is natural and for many things, the best way to approach it. Second, we want our breath to lead, the mind as much as possible to rest. So I inhale and my perineum opens. My exhale inspires the perineum to gently, gently squeeze. 4 more times. Once done with those 5, stay with your perineum. The third set, sort of the steepest learning curve, the most counterintuitive, is the perineum leads. So the perineum opens and it draws my inhale in. My perineum squeezes and it inspires my exhale. 4 more times. Good. So we have purged and we have hopefully strengthened any leakage or leaking. Now is the time we can draw in chi. So this is something we want to do also in summer and spring and even fall when we're gathering and preparing for the rest and inward turning of winter time. But it's certainly okay to do it now. We don't want to be so strict following the rules that say we go into winter and we just have a modest amount of chi, then we're having to use that up. How will we make it till spring, right? So this is called dragon and phoenix breath, and it's quite yang. I think first I'll show you, I'll show it to you straight up, and then maybe I'll go over a way you can do it more softly if you want. But it's the 3 dantian, and we do need to be grounded, so a nice wide stance, sunken hips. The breath, the position of the mouth, the tongue is on the upper palate, but it's also rolled back a little bit because you're going to be exhaling and you don't want the exhale to push the tongue off the roof of the mouth. So it's very well connected. And when you exhale, the visual or the traditional image is your breath spirals out each side of your tongue. So let's move through the movements first. So lower dantian here, holding your breath, and then you exhale and expand out to the side. Then you go to your middle dantian, hold, and you go up, and then upper dantian, hold, and then you bring down. So the inhale, deep, full, and you're drawing in chi. Visualize the it's almost like chi ball, like you're drawing in and filling not only your inner body, but your Wei Chi field. And if that's a new term, think about people talk about auras, similar. So we have this field of life force that we generate, that kind of we exude it. We need to care for that also. I'm going to, also another instruction is you hold your breath as long as you can and a little bit longer. While we're holding our breath, we're mixing our inner chi with this fresh chi we've just brought in, allowing our body to really take it in and own it. So big breath, gathering that chi, lower dantian, hold. Tongue on upper palate. Exhale. Filling the middle dantian. Upper. Brush. You can keep your feet where they are. Let's do that again. One more time. 3 times is good. Not stepping and brushing. No, you can't stop it. So each season, each of the organs that manifests an element also have a relationship to our mental emotional body. And there is a challenging, low resonating, burdensome emotion, and there's a higher resonating wisdom emotion. With the kidneys, those two are fear and gentleness, sometimes clarity. And I think contemporary language we call fear anxiety. And I wanted to include this Qigong because for most Americans, we're carrying an extra high level of anxiety right now. And one of the ways we can soften our anxiety is by taking ourselves out of, let's call it human life, back to nature. And maybe we can't wander off into the woods right now, but we also are very deeply affected using the energy of the elements and the natural world. This ocean and fire Qigong is really helpful for me to shift my mental, emotional body. And it also nourishes us in a different way. So, Dragon and Phoenix is just pulling in chi. We don't think about where it's coming from. We trust and we just kind of really yang it. Ocean and fire, we bring water of the oceans into our body. We bring fire from the center of the earth and use it as a way to connect and nourish us. So standing, however you feel like standing, can be parallel or wider. And one of the secrets, I guess, to this Qigong is we can do it just standing here. And sometimes, you can do Qigong in a crowd. You don't want anybody to know. You can conceal the external aspects. But if you're doing your practice at home or somewhere you're comfortable, as we inhale, we move our body as if we are like a balloon animal getting bigger and smaller. And that brings it more clearly to our chi body. So stand and let's root into the earth where we are to begin. Inhale, fill your body with golden light. Exhale that light out your feet into the earth, and that is what grows your roots deeper, wider, thicker, and stronger. Inhale. And grow your roots. Exhale. Let's use our roots. Send your mind down to your feet, down to the outer edges of your roots, and outward in all directions, and connect to the waters of the planet. And you get to choose sort of the frequency of water element energy. Today, maybe it is ocean, salty ocean water. Another day, it might be the clear, cold spring water. Whatever your body wants, feels like. But down, out, connect with those waters. Inhale, drawing them up your roots, fill your feet, your legs, your hips, your belly, only as high as your heart. Everything above your heart is relaxed and soft. Exhale, return that water to the earth. Don't take and keep from the earth. We trust that what we need will stay. Inhale up, filling with the water. Exhale. Good. Rest and enjoy that nourishment the water brings. Now let's send our mind down to our feet, down to the outer edges of our roots again. This time straight down to the center of the planet, the magma, lava, burning rock of the fire element. This isn't foreign. There's a spark of that fire element at the center of every single one of our cells, and they float in water from the planet. Inhale, drawing that fire energy up through our roots, filling our feet, our legs, our knees, our hips, our belly, only as high as our heart. And exhale, returning it. A couple more times. The last chapter can be the most tricky. It's the most volatile because it's fire and water together. This is also yin and yang together. They always are together. One may dominant, be more present or visible. They always have their partner. So however you visualize it today, go down to your feet, to your roots, and both directions, out to the waters and down to the fire. Inhale, drawing both up your roots, filling your feet, your legs, your hips, your belly. And exhale, putting them back. Let's do this a couple more times than we did the others. So maybe 5 breaths. Rest, stay with your nourished, vitalized energy body, elemental body. I'm going to do one more, all focused on how to set up an energetic structure, maybe a system, not sure, that will help us get through the winter. And the one last piece we've worked with, and we will continue to cultivate the snappy perineum so we're not unconsciously leaking, but we also want to protect our immune system and kind of strengthen our Wei Qi field. And the most direct way I know to do that is another iron shirt piece, which is Iron Bridge. And even though the fascia has been getting a lot of attention the last couple of decades, the Taoists have been utilizing it for a long time. Basically, what we're going to do, we'll take a posture that will help us, but we're going to inhale, visualizing, drawing up earth chi, like a fat woolly blanket, up the front of our body, even over our face and up to the top of our head with an inhale. As we exhale, we want to pinch our glottis. So it's a glottal exhale. It's a little noise, but we visualize pressing that spongy, woolly earth chi into our fascia. Do it several times. We'll do it up our back. And don't worry about the sides or the crevices. We're teaching our body to do this. So then it begins to do it even when we're not doing Iron Bridge, and it will create a beautiful, I don't want to use the word seal, but maybe a beautiful coat, a beautiful sweater. So a little wide. And we take this mudra, thumb and index together, fingers, rest of the fingers out. And we inhale and hold those mudra over our kidneys. So this is my kidneys, but outward, don't rest. This is stretching my chest a little bit horizontally, allowing me to feel my fascia a little more clearly. And then I bend back and I stretch my torso vertically. To me, it's really about helping me connect with my fascia because, humans were numb and distracted and we need help a lot of the time. So I have this posture. Be sure to hold your head. Don't let it flop. Send your mind down to the earth. With the inhale, draw up that thick, woolly blanket of stable, nourishing, comforting earth chi. Glottal exhale, press it into your fascia. Let's do it twice more only. Inhale up. Last time. keep the mudra, but come back to standing straight. And now bend over. And because we bend over so much in our normal everyday movements, it's a little tougher to feel your fascia, but trust that you're activating it and that it will receive the same way as the front of your body did. So bending over, arms hang, keep the mudra. Inhale up your back, over the back of your head, that thick woolly blanket. Exhale in. Twice more. And since we're here, Qigong is very efficient. We grasp or gather fresh earth chi and draw it up the back of our legs to our kidneys, giving them a little nourishment, and then to our dantian. So I'm running late. So I'm going to share maybe the first 2 or 3 movements from Mystical Warrior Qigong because they're very different. One of them I wouldn't be able to do anyway because I injured my Achilles tendon in Japan, but I think the first 3 I'd be okay. So we begin with stillness. And those who do each one go right into that posture. Those who haven't seen this or done this before, you're basically unlocking all your joints, you're connecting to the earth, and it's like you're embracing a tree. But for Mystical Warrior, we take a particular mudra and we expand our chi body. Our index fingers point forward and connect to the center of the universe. The long fingers point at each other, completing this circle. The ring fingers fold back and point to our heart. The thumbs point up to heaven and the pinkies down to earth. So that's a lot. Know that the more you do this, the more useful it becomes as a way to expand your chi, your mind, your spirit, center of the universe, up to heaven, connecting that circle, connecting your heart and connecting to the earth. And we would stay here for a bit. But for the length of our short little class, we relax our mudra, open but don't discard our circle, and start kind of playing with our circle, making our circle a bubble, a chi ball. And we bring our body into it. So lifting a heel, twisting, and just on the one hand, being precise about holding this energetic ball, on the other, intuitive and playful. Can get bigger, can get smaller. And you can even lift your leg. And then we get smaller movement. Keep that ball small because we're going to swallow it down to our dantian. The last of the 3 I'll show today is really my favorite. We begin with a hand on the heart and a hand on the dantian. Dantian, for new people, I keep using that, but it's really our belly, our center of gravity. On the surface, your hand is just below your navel, and that's close enough. So I'm standing and I'm actually very open vertically, little arch in my back. Then I come to a little curl and my heart hand goes into my armpit, my belly hand goes onto my elbow, and they change places. And I arch, I curl, and I arch. And if you notice, I'm creating the Tai Chi symbol, the Tai Chi 2, on me. Allow the breath to coordinate. I'm not going to tell you which goes where. Let your body figure that out. So the Tai Chi symbol is a symbol we see a lot, but it's, well, people write books about it. Just keep in mind that the black and white or the colors is our yin and yang. And that dot is always a moment of the other in the center of the one. A couple more times. And let's just stay here for a moment. Bring the heart to your dantian. And we'll have this closing of connecting upward to the yang light of the sun, drawing it down through us to the earth. Connecting upward to the yin light of the moon, down through us to the earth. And then to the very old light of the stars, down through us to the earth. Yeah.
Would you remind us of the name of the most recent exercise that we just did with the hand on the heart and then the hand over the elbow alternating?
Right. That is one of the movements of the mystical warrior Qigong. And the teacher that brought that west is Zhang Zhang Wu. He's a practitioner of Mount Emei shamanic Qigong, and that's Emei, and I'm just guessing at that pronunciation. But he has, it might be masterwu.org or net, and you'll find a lot of information there. Let's see. So the name, each movement is named, and that is turtle and snake coiling together.
Turtle and snake?
Yes, coiling together, which is the mystical warrior, celestial animal.
Yes, what you mentioned.
Yeah.
You had offered another very generous free class as part of an intro series a number of years ago, and you had mentioned the turtle position as part of Iron Shirt.
Yeah.
And you were like, I was on the fence. I didn't add it in, but you showed it to us. And something in my sensory system was like, ding, ding, ding. It took me years to be able to do it, but now I do it. And honestly, it's saving me. Miranda,
Oh.
I am so grateful for your offerings.
Oh. Well,
I really am.
gratified to hear that. That's a tough one. Yeah. But it is. It's rich. Very rich.
Very tough. And it's taken me years to be able to.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. It just on a physical level, we don't have the strength in the little muscles that you use for that. But then on an energetic level and an emotional level, yeah, kidney level.
Kidneys.
Yes. So happy to hear that. So I went a little long with the Qigong, but I think I'm okay with that. I hope you are. We will also, as I mentioned, along the 12 weeks, cultivate a relationship with our qi and be able to circulate it for in various pathways and for various purposes. The reason we would circulate qi, it clarifies our qi system. It enhances it, as in growing qi. It also mixes yin and yang. So the main practice is a microcosmic orbit made up of two, they're called vessels, not meridians, because the qi can move in two directions. A meridian, the qi only wants to move in one. So if we force it back, it's unbalancing. And up our back is the yang vessel, and down our front is the yin vessel. And of course, I would go into more detail, but I just want to give you an image of that practice. When we do the microcosmic orbit, it's deeply centering and calming. It will, if we tend to be too yang or tend to be too yin, it can bring us back to a better center, more resilient center. It also can unblock sluggishness and even obstructions along that vessel, pair of vessels. And those vessels feed the meridians or take from the meridians as is needed. So if you have any issues in your microcosmic orbit, it can resonate through your whole body. And if you have a good microcosmic orbit, it resonates through your whole body. If you go to an acupuncturist, you may notice that they very rarely will needle their back or your front of the microcosmic orbit. It can be extremely disruptive, not necessarily bad, but it can really shake things up. So they do tend to stay in the meridians. Any questions from old people or new people about the circulations we'll be doing in the series? Okay, because I'd like to return to dreaming to close the class. The dream work will blossom outside of class. You know, we will walk through various methods or practices together, and I'm going to invite you to take on this one, which is called Inviting the Dreams. But the idea of remembering the dreams, dream journaling, or otherwise keeping those narratives beyond the moment of waking. It's a wonderful practice. I think we did the last time we did winter, which is re-entering. No, I think we did a whole series on dreaming, re-entering a dream. And this is where you can really cultivate a better relationship with your dreaming self by re-entering in a meditative state rather than a sleeping state. You see more, you can ask questions. And if it's a troubling dream, you can change that or ask your dreaming self if they would change it. Now, I tend to think of nightmares as might be we're not listening, that Buddhist idea of you get a pebble rolling across your path, and if you don't notice it or pay attention, then it's a rock and then it's a boulder. Not all nightmares fall into that category, but it's certainly been my experience in some cases. So the first step to connecting with your dreaming self is when you're climbing into bed, when you're settling in, you choose the most appropriate moment, but you invite. So the phrase is you invite the dreams, because this is from my Japanese teacher, and he's a little free with the articles. But I like that phrase better than saying invite dreams. And who are you inviting them from? You can be vague, but if you invite the dreams of your dreaming self, that's the first step to befriending that part of yourself. Maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. Obviously, we dream every night, but this having them come means they're present enough so that we can at least remember them when we wake, if not longer. And that's what I would encourage you to begin and take from this introduction to the introduction of dream practice. The last thing to put into your mind is that there are different types of dreams. There are, you could call them ordinary dreams, where you're at work and you're sorting out something that happened, and they're kind of useful that way. Then there are older dreams, which are the ones really that Freud was fascinated with, that are metaphors for things that have shaped us or marked us from childhood or our history anyway. And then there are visitations. So I study ancestral lineage healing, and me and my colleagues, you have a dream and there's like, oh, my grandmother showed up in this dream and it was just different. Well, it's possible of a visitation. Can be a visitation of an ancestor, can be a visitation of a tree, depending on how you conceive of the energy and the entities surrounding us. And the last is particular to Taoism, called cloud dreams. Visitations might fall into this category, or they might be mistaken for cloud dreams. Cloud dreams are from somewhere else. And none of these dreams can be described by the narrative complexity or simplicity. Cloud dream can be simple, very short, but the way you feel about it, you feel this is really powerful, important, there's something here. That's the only way we know to recognize cloud dream. And lucid dreams that I mentioned can be any of those types of dreams. We just have that moment of realizing that we're dreaming. And despite my reluctance to teach lucid dreaming, I will teach in the series Dream Gesture, that is the first step to the process of lucid dreaming from Taoism. And just a final note, there are many dream practice approaches. Wow. Any questions? Okay. Thank you for coming.